Global Accessibility Awareness Day 2024. For those of you that do not know what Global Accessibility Awareness Day is, that is a day in the year, usually on the 16th of May, where accessibility professionals across the world make a plan to carry the word around, to make people aware of our accessibility struggles, the barriers that we face from day to day, and obviously to make more people take part in accessibility efforts from organizations, uh, the smallest to the largest. Most of the larger organizations make a very visible effort each year. And we have decided to make or to do our part this year, not with the usual accessibility talks, but to take you through a virtual tour of one of the icons in South Africa, which is Blind SA, and a very special project that they have launched, the Antoinette Botha Braille Museum. So today will mostly be about Braille, but in the afternoon we are going to chat to some international players that we are associating with. We firstly have Colette Fransolet around about 12 o'clock that will talk about CPAC, or the certification for or certified professionals in accessibility core competencies. That is from the IAAP, and directly after that, we will chat to some other international players as well. Just by introduction, my name is Eugene Smith. I'm an accessibility specialist working in South Africa. I am one of the co-founders of A11Y South Africa, certified DHS trusted tester, and I've been using assistive technology for a very long time, more than 35 years. My main focus is to make websites, mobile applications accessible. We do not only do testing, but we also do remediation for in developer teams. We assist designers, UX people. We also do training of developers, or from developers right through to other assistive technology users, etc. Wherever we can find somebody that need our help, or wherever we can break a barrier down, we do so. I am absolutely honored to be here in the boardroom of Blind SA in Alberton, Gauteng, Johannesburg, or Johannesburg, Gauteng, that is in South Africa, for those of you that is internationally that do not know where we are. I'm joined today by Philip Jordan. He is the Braille manager from Blind SA, one of the fathers of modern Braille production in South Africa, and a passion for preserving this fantastic skill. Braille is not only, like some people will say, a code, a language. It is more than that. Braille is like a door opener for many people that cannot read in any other way, or prefer not to use audio, but wish to read the actual letters and perceive it in that fashion. It is therefore important to think about the preservation of Braille, and that is why I am absolutely honored to be here in the midst of all this activity. We are going to showcase. I do not want to introduce Philip at all. I do not have enough words to describe his contribution in this country. The same later on today, when we are going to be joined by Christo de Klerk, others such as him. We cannot introduce them. We do not have the words to describe what they actually mean in this country. I have a mobile team that will run around in Blind SA. One of them is my partner in crime, a co-founder of A11Y, Her name is Ariana. Ariana is also a DHS trusted tester, also a member of the International Association of Accessibility Professionals. She is an English teacher, Springbok Scout, and I don't know what else. She's the younger version of me. It's my daughter, my youngest daughter. Welcome, Ariana.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with everybody today.
Right. Yeah, and it's going to be absolutely great to see your interaction with the staff here at Blind SA. I'm going to hand over to Philip Jordan. Most of you that have anything to do with Blind SA would have seen or experienced one of his contributions, whether that is in a book that he has printed or something that he has done, but his hand is all over this place. So Philip, welcome. Thank you for having us here. And we are absolutely thrilled to be here.
Thank you, Eugene, and morning to everybody. Yeah, thank you for the kind introduction. The fact that I am grey, just not sure how old I am, it shows what Braille does to you. You stay in the straight long enough. I was privileged to start out in the Braille field at Pioneer Printers way back in 1985. That's Eugene's alma mater where we went to school as well. And I was luckily enough, or privileged enough to be taught Braille by one of the authors of the Afrikaanse Braille handleiding, Obas van Eden. So really right there, the root of Braille was laid, and you are correct. It's just not a medium to read and write. It becomes part of your life. And that is then what you will do for the rest of your life, and you will enjoy every minute of it. I am sitting here in our museum, ABBM as we call it, Antoinette Botha Braille Museum, which was opened about 2 years ago, and I'm sort of the amateur curator of the museum. By no means am I a trained curator. I just love old things. You should actually have a look at my wife if you want to see old things, because they are dear to us. We have more than 100 items on exhibit here, more than 120 books and magazines. We'll show them later to you, some of them as old as 1908, up to the very latest. So I'm nearing retirement, so I'm looking forward to that. And then we will hand this over to a new generation of youngsters that is coming through that also hold Braille dear, and that can take this thing forward. Technology is increasing by the day, but certainly Braille as the basis of reading and writing for blind people, in my eyes, will always be there. Thank you for now, Eugene.
Thank you, Philip, for your introduction. Firstly, we from A11Y, that is my company name. Those of you that do not know what A11Y means, it is just an acronym. A, 11 letters, and a Y stands for accessibility. We was approached a couple of months ago to create a virtual or an accessible virtual museum online. So we created a website. It is still a project or up and coming project. There are a couple of exhibits already in the museum, but the idea was to present artifacts in the museum in such a way that user-assisted technology can actually experience the artifacts in real time. Just a normal photo or accessible alternative text is not enough. We need to feel part of the actual exhibit. And doing what we are doing today is to take additional videos, get Philip's description of the artifact, the history, etc., so that we can feel part of all of the recordings that we are making today will, of course, be edited, and then it's going to become part of each and every exhibit. And you will be able to open it up, listen to the descriptions, and be part of it. If it is a Braille machine, you will hear the machine working. You will even remember the days when you used a blister or one of these old Stainsby machines if you're old enough. I must admit, I've used a blister for about a year. I think there is one down here. That just shows you how old we are getting. But anyway, Philip, if you can give us an indication of what types of exhibits you have, and if you can maybe before we start the tour through the building, just showcase one or two things that is close to your heart.
Certainly, thank you, Eugene. To me and to many blind people in the world, I think this is one of the most important machines that you will ever come across. This is the Perkins Braille, designed by an American, David Abraham. He worked for 15 years on the machine before the first prototype was produced. The most interesting story is that David Abraham is a road engineer, and he worked on the road that was built past the Perkins School for the Blind in Massachusetts in America. And during one of his lunch times, he paid a visit to the school to see what exactly is going on there, met up with Dr. Edward Waterhouse, the school principal. And after he finished his stint on the road, he was out of a job. It was in the 1930s in America, and he then went and applied for a post as a teacher at the School for the Blind, and he was appointed as the woodwork teacher. And then he decided to design and build a Perkins Braille, or build a Braille that is easier to use, more sturdy than the current machines that they had around. And in 1951, the Perkins was then launched. They still build them today. In my eyes, it's the best mechanical Braille that is out there on the market. This machine that I showed to you now is at least 40 years old. It belonged to Ms. Corrie Jacobs from Grootbrakrivier, and it was donated to Blind SA by Mrs. Zeely, and she's the wife of the late Mr. Antoni Zeely, my predecessor at Braille Services. Antoni was the first manager of Braille Services, started in 1963 in June, I believe. That's the same year I was born. And I followed Mr. Zeely in 1997 when I came to Joburg. I became the manager here. So Braille Service, in actual fact, in the 70 years of history, we only had 2 managers. All blind people will know a Perkins Braille. It's a fast machine, it's a robust machine, and we simply love it. And we're quite privileged to have one in our museum. Maybe the second, to me, the most interesting article, and I'm going to move the camera now because I need to showcase this. And that is the Afrikaans Bible, the 1933 edition. The Bible was transcribed by Pioneer Printers, back then called Die Môre Ligpers. Has 75 volumes and thousands and thousands of pages. So you would not be able to carry this Bible with you to church on a Sunday morning. You'll need at least 2 or 3 wheelbarrows to help you with that. For now, I think that is what I can would want to bring attention to, and we can always come back to more exhibits later.
Wow, yeah, thank you. Yeah, the Perkins really I think that opened up a lot of educational opportunities for most people. As we know, the Blisters and the Stainsbys, wonderful machines, but not very robust. The Perkins Braille, I think all blind students in this country used one of these things before and actually made it past high school and most in university as well. Without the Perkins, surely most of us would have had major issues. I remember my old Perkins. Philip, is it possible that you can just, in a nutshell, before we start to move into the building, describe to us the actual process? Most users or most of our viewers today might know more about Braille, but new listeners and viewers will not know a lot about this. So if you can just in a nutshell describe what is Braille, how do you make Braille? Tell us about the basic steps that you must follow in this building from start to finish, and then we can perhaps start to interview some of our workers that do this fantastic job.
Certainly. In most Braille printing presses around the world, and I was privileged to visit a few in Germany. We went to the library there, the production facility where they actually manufacture machines as well. Blister Braille-Tech it's called. And that's where the Blister originated from. I also visited Swiss Library for the Blind in Baron and RNIB in England. They had their printing press out in Peterborough. I think it moved back to London now. And International Braille International in Stewart in Miami, north of Miami in the USA. And then was probably the largest Braille printing press in the world would be APH, American Printing House for the Blind in Kentucky, in Louisville. And all of them run Braille the same way. Even Pioneer Printers, another Braille producer in South Africa, part of the School for the Blind in Worcester. You will have three divisions or departments. The one is the data capturing and the translation. Now, here at Braille Services, we will either get the text electronically, or we will have a PDF file, or we will retype it, or we will scan it. That then gets translated with the Duxbury Braille translation program. Now, there are a number of different translation programs in the world. Duxbury is the most expensive one, American program, but the best of them all. And we run that software with South African add-ons so that you can translate all South African languages into Braille then. The second department where this text will then go to is we print a proof copy, a hard copy Braille, and that goes then to the proof readers. Now, in most places in the world, as in here at Braille Services, we run a team of two readers, a print copy holder, and the Braille proofreader. And they then physically read through that whole document. That is quality control, and it is very, very hard work. I'm sure we'll visit Johannes later in his office, Johannes Dube. At Braille Services, we run 5 sets of proofreaders, and we cover all 11 of our languages in South Africa. Once proofreading has been done, the file goes down back to the data typist, who will then do corrections. If it's work for individuals or quick turnaround jobs, one proof must suffice. Otherwise, the magazines and school textbooks and the like, we will even do a second Braille proof on them. Once that is done, we say now the file is print ready, and we have a BRF, a Braille formatted file that we can upload onto our embossers We will show those later to you as well. At Braille Services, we run two Interpoint 55 embossers. They were built in Belgium. And they're not desktop jobs. No, they cost about 2.6 million rand each. So it's an expensive operation, but they're fast and one of the best embossers in the world that we run here. After that is book binding, and we put the Braille label on, we put the print name onto the cover of the book, and it is ready to go out to the reader. That, in short, is the process. Unfortunately, to translate the book into Braille will not take the 2 minutes I took now to describe the process. A school textbook can take up to 3 months to produce if you want to do a proper job of it. So it is a long job. It's an expensive job, but it is one that is dear to us, and we enjoy every moment of it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Philip. I just have a question, a very serious question. You can see 100%, right?
That's correct, yes.
Can you read Braille?
Yeah, no, indeed, I can read Braille.
And how do you do that, Philip?
I can read Braille because I know how a Braille cell looks like, and where a and a B and a C, what dots they entail. So, but it's not only me here at Braille Services. We're quite privileged here. The head of my department in the Braille press can read Braille. Most of all my guys in the printing press can read at least Braille numbering. So when you do bind the book, you can at least double check that your numbers are all in order. So yeah, no, it's there's not a lot of us in South Africa, but if this is what you do and it's your passion, then it becomes just it becomes natural to be able to read Braille. Yeah, it's
I just want to clarify. You read with your eyes, right? Braille.
That's correct. No, my fingers are way too dumb to be able to to read it with my fingers. Also, if you start out as a Braille transcriber, then you type Braille for 8 hours a day, and your fingers become quite hard, so it's very, very difficult to read with the fingers. I've tried it many times unsuccessfully. No, it's easy with the eyes. I'm thankful for my eyes that I can use them to read Braille. Yes.
But what a skill to be able to read Braille with your eyes. If we can focus at some point just to showcase how a Braille page look on camera. Now imagine yourself trying to read that. It's difficult enough to feel it. It must be something else just to look at it and to be able to read it. Thank you. So in our journey around the building, can you just quickly describe the route that we are going to take?
They will start at Ntungu in the data typing department. Ntungu is in charge of Bookshare, and she will tell you more about that. Also in charge of Daisy Audio and Large Print. Those are two new additions to that we do here at Braille Services. It was added about 2-3 years ago after we moved into our new premises here in Alroad. So we can provide now the whole spectrum of assistive ways of reading and writing to clients. They will also visit Carol Swart. Some of you might know Carol's husband, Leon Swart. He was also a pupil at Pioneer School. Carol is our HOD in that division. And she's been with us for many, many years. She's the head of data typist. After that, we will visit Johannes Dube and his partner, Tandeka. And Johannes will demonstrate Braille reading to us. And do ask him how many languages he can read in Braille, please, Eugene. Then we will move to the printing division, where Yul will show us the Interpoint 55s in operation. And currently on the tables are plenty of work for the IEC for the upcoming election. We landed two contracts there where we produce the fact sheets, the pamphlets for the IEC. And we can demonstrate bookbinding and the like in the printing press. There might be some magazines on the tables as well. It was quite busy in the printing press today. That is the route we're going to take.
Yeah, I can't wait. Amazing people in this building. You can feel it. While they're going up to the first station, is it possible that you can show us a machine that you have used before to actually do transcription? In the old days, I think I saw something down there.
If I can play cameraman again. And just give me half a minute. This funny machine is an ETC, and ETC stands for Enabling Technologies Company. It's an American company, and they produced their first braillers way back in the 1970s, late 1970s. And the first of these machines were imported into South Africa in the early 1980s. This is a Romeo embosser. This was some of their smaller machines. This machine embossed only one side of the page, but the later machines from them that were more production-orientated machines were the 150s and the 100s. And that this is a Romeo 40. And that only means it's 40 characters per second. The second machines after this, as I said, was the 150s. They printed at 150 characters per second. Now, to put that in pages, you're looking about 100 to 150 finished pages per hour. Our Interpoint 55s, they can produce up to 1,000 finished pages an hour. That's just the technology from the late 1970s to where we are now in 2020. We have two of these old machines. Unfortunately, they're not operational. The software and the computers of that era is just so outdated. You can't get parts for them, so we can't run them, which is a great pity. But we will look after them and we will remember them with fondness, because that is actually where we started out. Braille Services was the first electronic Braille producer in South Africa. We started back in 1981. Pioneer Printers quickly followed suit in 1986. 1987, they were fully electronically operating. So, and from then onwards, very little Braille gets written by hand. Everything is electronic these days. Today we produce about between 1.6 and 2 million pages annually here at Braille Services. That's about 60% of all Braille being produced in South Africa. So the new equipment is fast, but we think back to the old machines with great fondness and admiration.
I just want to put this in perspective so that we can, sorry about that, so that we can understand what we are talking about here. A Braille volume is, let's say, a thicker volume between 80 and we can say about 150 pages. So if you have a school and you need to print 10 to 12 books per student and you have 300 students, it would take quite a while to produce those books with a machine like that. And that is what happened. We, as Braille users, you can, yes, Philip.
No, I'm listening to you, yes.
So we,
It
you
will
can go
take a
ahead.
long time, and it will also cost a lot of money. And we will not talk about we should not talk about the money because it should be irrelevant. We need to get the information to the schools. And in the old days, when we said Braille by hand on the old stereo machines or on the Perkins Braille, you could do about 36 to 40 pages a day. Data typists these days output between 75 and 100 pages per day, Braille pages. We also need to understand that the print page, A4, 12-point Roman, or 1.5 line spacing, carries about 315 words to a page, and that will convert to between 2.5 and 3 Braille pages. So a school textbook of 300 print pages will easily convert to 500. 300 text will convert to 600, 700, 800 Braille pages. The cost to set a page like that, to proofread it, to do the corrections, you're looking at 95 Rand per Braille page. If you have an 800-page textbook and then correctly, that will be divided into 5 or 6 Braille volumes. And that is, and the page size is even bigger than A4. We work on a 280 by 286 millimeter page size. The Braille page carry only about 130 words. But people don't know is that you can print Braille both sides of the page. And the later machines, that's why the first machines were one-sided, single side. The later machines were double-sided. And we call that interpoint Braille. So the dots do miss each other. So that saves a lot of paper. But still, a school textbook can cost thousands and thousands of rands to produce the masters. We worked for quite a number of years now on the CAPS curriculum, textbooks for the grade 1s to 12, grade 12s, and the Braille services share on that was most probably around 3, 4, or 4 million Rand. The work we did for the Department of Education, and we did most of the African languages, while Pioneer Printers concentrated on the maths and the science and the technical subjects.
Eugene, your mic is still muted that side.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Philip, for that. It is just mind-blowing to think of the amount of work that went into making print available to people that cannot read it in the normal way. Today, it's easy for us to talk about Braille displays, things like that. We have no idea where it all began. I also saw the Crab Braille writer. We can perhaps talk about that wonderful machine later. And I was wondering, how many books did that machine made? Amazing when I saw it the other day. But thank you for that. Do we have a mobile station ready yet or not?
Yes, we're ready.
Oh, do we have our first customer in for the day? Thank you so much for joining us. We had a quick chat earlier, but I don't want to say much about you and your work. Can you please introduce yourself to our guests and tell us about the fantastic work that you are doing here?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ndungu Padzeni Muguru, but I prefer to be called Ndungu for many reasons. I started working at Blind SA in 2012 as a data typist, and we were mostly doing Braille. In about 3 years ago, we were introduced to Bookshare, where we had to do things differently. So in order for you to do a Bookshare book, you need to mark up a document, a Word document, correctly. So that's where everything starts. So a correctly marked up document will have heading styles, and where there are images, you will have to describe the images. The tables will have to have alt text, which means alternative text, to explain what the table is all about. So with me here, I have a document which is already correctly marked up. It's a library book for University of Johannesburg. So I'll scroll down in it. You see it has the contents. It has heading styles like that one. So heading styles help you to navigate through the document. And then there are some images. I didn't have much images in this document, but there are images which I have done alt text for. And as you can see, we try and make the document as the original, but there are points where we deviate from the original due to inaccessibility of how the original looks. So when you have finished correctly marking up the document, for Bookshare, we upload an EPUB document. So with this Word document that I have here, we create an EPUB out of that. So we do have a software which is called Word to EPUB, which we got from the DAISY Consortium. It's a free software, so anybody can use it if they want to create an EPUB. So I'll just go through the steps to creating an EPUB document. It's taking a while to open. So there are different things that you need to fill in for the metadata. That will be the title of the book, the author, the publisher, the rights, and the year the book was published, and also a description of the book. Here I had descriptions of the books which were sent from UJ. So I just copied and pasted here on this section. And there are cover pages, cover images as well. So because this document was sent to me as a PDF, I have copied the cover image of this book and save it as a picture. So what I do, I select the image which I have saved. So this image will be the cover image of my book when I'm finished with it. Some of the settings are on default, so I don't have to change anything. So we can okay that document to create an EPUB. So this EPUB document that I have just created is the document that I will upload to Bookshare. When it gets to the Bookshare team, they will create other formats like the Braille and the DAISY 3 book. So partially sighted people can actually enlarge the font to can see it in bigger font than the originally created fonts. So that's about it with regards to Bookshare. Bookshare, okay, maybe I might head up on Bookshare. So Bookshare, it's a library that is accessible to visually impaired people. So in order for you to access the books, you need to be a member. So you can sign up with Blind SA to access these books for free. And also, as Blind SA, we have uploaded 1,900 plus books on Bookshare so far since it started. And there are other books from other countries which blind people can also access. You can access it in a format that is good for you to read. So the format that you prefer, whether Braille or an EPUB or a Word document, if you do have a screen reader or other readers that can read these accessible materials. So with the same document, that's me going out of Bookshare now and going into audio. So with the same document, you can create a format that you can use for audio where you can TTS that document or do human narration. So depending on what the client's requirements are, so you will choose what kind of conversion you want to convert. So this document, if I want to create an audio book out of this document, I will use Dolphin Easy Converter, which I have selected here. So I will convert the same document. And if the client wants a human narration document, when I do the conversion, I will do it with no audio. But if the client doesn't mind the TTS, we can convert the document with audio, where it will create a DAISY with audio using the whatever speech you do have on your computer. So for a document that doesn't require TTS, where you will have human narration, I will do that, and then I will save that document. I will finish the conversion, which will take a while, but I've already created a document worth. And just minimize that. And then the kind of file that we want when we are converting without audio, it's an XML file. That XML file will save it on the local drive, and we will use the program called Toby. Toby to do the human narration. So I'll just import the XML file, which I've created previously. I don't want it to take time because the conversion does take time. Okay, so as you can see, the text here, this was an image which I have done alternative text in my Microsoft Word. You see, it's the University of Johannesburg logo. So that was my alternative text which I've put there. So it appears here. So to do the human narration, you will highlight each text and then do the recording, which I won't be doing currently. So you highlight the text which you want to record, and then you will press on this little red button here to do the recording. So currently my mic is off, which is why it is not responding. But that's basically how you do the recording. You highlight the text and then you click on this red button here at the bottom. And then you navigate on the document and record as you go along. And then once the document is done, the human narration is finished, we do the export of this document. So if the client wants human narration, but they only want MP3, so when you do the exporting, it will create for you different MP3s. So the MP3s will be named by the heading styles that you have created in your Word document. So each heading style will be a different MP3. So if you want Daisy with text, then you will have your text in there. There will be an OPF document, which you can still see the text, but have the human narration at on the background. So that's about it. With if you do have questions, you may ask before.
No, fantastic. I think the process is amazing to experience the actual way that you do it. Just to do a quick recap on what you have told us earlier on Bookshare in South Africa for Blind SA members, Bookshare access is free. Blind SA
Yeah.
pick up the bill for that.
Yes.
And internationally, we will pay a monthly subscription for Bookshare. So this is a fantastic service that you are delivering here. More than 1,900 books delivered up onto the network. That is an achievement. And thank you so much for the hard work you have done. I'm also, I love my EPUB books. I read quite a lot, and I do not know what I would have done without EPUBs. I would, yeah, I know I would have read more Braille, which I don't do a lot of. So no, thank you so much for your very hard work.
Okay.
Anybody, any one of our guests, do you have a question for or about Bookshare or Toby, or the method of how they work in Word? No questions. Thank you. I'm just wondering if we can move on with the mobile station while I'm talking to Philip again.
I just had
Or do you have
one
an
more thing.
sorry about that? It's
Yes, I
me.
just wanted to ask you questions so that I don't go on without you asking.
Yeah,
So
100%. Thank you.
there is also large print, which you will create from the same source document that I have shown you. So the difference is that with large print, you will change the font to 18 point Vedana. And then the line spacing should be 1.5 because when text is close to one another, then the partially sighted it gets too much for them. So we try and make it look like the original, but also in this case, in large print, there are times where we deviate from the original due to colors which were used in the original form, because some of the colors are blinding to, they are, I shouldn't use that word. They are, when you have text with color, then for the partially sighted, it will be kind of difficult for them to see. So at times we need to make it lighter or darker depending on how it appears. But otherwise, that's about it.
I have two questions for you.
Okay.
The 18 PT, is that the minimum height or the size that you are using for large print?
Yes, that is the minimum.
And
But
can you do it in different sizes, go larger than say 18?
Yes, depending on the client's request, there are times when we do 20.
Mm.
And then obviously for the titles and the heading styles, we go a bit bigger so that it differentiates the text.
And while we're on this subject, this is a topic that we discuss worldwide every single day in digital accessibility. And that is, sorry about that, that is about your color contrast that you just described. Can you tell us how do you determine what colors will work and why? How do you measure in your department where you are working? How do you measure color contrast there? And do you follow any specific guidelines where that is concerned?
So far, currently we are using our HOD for printing as our guinea pig. So he is partially sighted. So where we get confused with the colors, we go to him and ask if he is able to see the colors with the colors that we have used. And then he advises whether we need to go darker or lighter. But otherwise, we don't have specific guidelines that we are using. Oh, we're still there.
Eugene, we have missed you. Just a second. Sorry about that, everybody. Let's just see where Eugene went. Welcome back, Eugene.
Sorry about that. Let us expect the unexpected.
I don't know if you did catch what I said.
I missed it. But I will definitely find out.
It's an interesting way to text him.
Okay, right. I'm
So
back.
do I need to repeat?
I'm really sorry about missing that part of your conversation, but I am back online.
Oh, so should I repeat the answer to your question?
Yeah, I was just wondering about the method that you use to determine the color contrast when you produce your large print volumes.
I've already said it.
Yeah.
We use our HOD for the printing department as our guinea pig
Ah, so
because he is
definitely
partially
follow
sighted.
human testing.
Yes.
Perfect.
So we don't have the guidelines. So far we are using him to tell us whether he is able to see or not, and where he is not, he advises whether we should go darker color or lighter.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
So basically that's about it with my side. Thank you.
Just the last question. How many books of these 1,900 and something did you handle personally?
I can't count. I
Thought so. That's why I asked you.
yeah.
Many.
Fantastic work. Thank you so much for your effort. We do not always appreciate what it is when we hold a book like that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Can we go down to Philip? Philip, are you still online with me?
Yes, very much still alive.
While we just were talking about large print, what do we have in the Antoinette Botha Braille Museum about large print?
We do not have a lot because Braille Services has not been producing large print over a long period of time.
Aha.
But all our information pamphlets here in the museum that describe the exhibit and the layout, that is all in Braille, in normal print and in large print. So partially sighted people are more than welcome to come and pay us a visit. We have a few assistive devices here for large print, a large print keyboard and DSTV remote and things like that. But we are certainly actively looking for exhibits, you know, that we can add to our repertoire here in the museum. Because the same as with Braille, it's been around for a long time, but nobody did the effort of looking after these things and preserving them for the future. So we are really appealing to people if you have something new, because Pioneer Printers have been doing large print since the 1960s. So there must be books, old books around that we can exhibit here. So people must just look around and forward them to us. We will happily take them off their hands.
We are certainly going to make some active calls, especially on social media, for people to look at what they have. And certainly, lots of these books are not used, you know, always. I'm sure it will be appreciated. I wanted to ask you about the process which we just discussed. Once a book gets typed in and formatted, do you, for Braille printing, when we produce an electronic document, whether that is a PDF or an EPUB, it should have the correct styling. So we are talking about heading levels, heading level 1, 2, 3s that must follow a logical order, etc. Obviously, in Braille, we do not have the same type of, we do not have larger and smaller text. Can you tell us about that process? How do we determine the importance of a heading in Braille, and how in the transcription process does it work when we transcribe a styled document such as the ones that we just saw? How does that work? And how does it convert so that the Braille reader can still understand the heading structure of a page? It might be a
Very-
bit difficult question, but give it a go.
Yeah, no, you're true to yourself today. You're full of difficult questions. The heading styles we do have in Braille as well, quite correct. And we follow the structures in Duxbury. You can adapt those to suit your personal circumstances. Like at Braille Services, we might use footers on some of our books. That means the information line of the page is at the bottom. Some people prefer headers. That's just your reference in the book itself. Heading styles can be set in Duxbury as well. But yeah, correct. You can't make the font bigger or more bold. So we do center the headings. We do use open lines before or after headings. That will indicate a second heading. You can tab headings in, 4 from the margin or 2 from the margin. We tend not to, if you have if you have boldface or italics inside text, we use Braille signs to indicate those, or double caps. We will use Braille signs to indicate those. But headings as such, yeah, no, you have. I don't know if I'm audible. Are we back? Yes.
You are, yeah. We can hear you.
It just went off. Let me just unmute. Just unmute your mic, Philip. Sorry. There we go.
There we go. Thank you. So Carol will also be able to explain the different heading styles that we use, but you center words and you open lines before and after, and then the indentation from the margin, or what we call PTYS, poetry styles, that we can use.
And if I'm not wrong, we are going to visit Carol next.
If she hasn't run away, I saw her in the office this morning, and there she is.
Carol, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
We are anxious to experience what you are doing. I just had a quick glimpse earlier, and yeah, it is amazing stuff. Can you share? Tell us your story. I know you are involved for a very long time. If you can tell us your story and tell us what you do.
Okay, thank you, Eugene. Good morning, everyone. My name is Carol Swart. I've been with Blind SA for almost 17 years now. I started in July 2007, and I'm still here up to date as a data typist. And for the last few years, I've been the HOD of the data typist division. And yes, I love what I'm doing, and that is why I'm still here. If there's anything you need to know, please you are welcome to ask any questions. I am busy with a document at the moment. It's a document that I'm busy converting into Braille. I did get it as via PDF format, and I converted it into Abby Fine Reader, whereas I put it into my Braille file. So I heard you also asked Philip about the heading styles, so forth, especially with our especially with our front page in the beginning. We put it in the H1s. We call it the H1s. Then everything is centered. And then it depends on the document, what you have. like what I've got at the moment, it's the core document. So everything on my first page, and sometimes it runs over, depends on how long the wording is, onto your second Braille page, which we do put codes in. We've got the contents that we also put normally on our page 3. Our characters per line would be, for the normal document, it will be 39 lines, characters per line, and then lines per page would be 25. Whereas we also deal with a lot of other documents that we convert on a daily basis into Braille. Yes, that's anything you need to know, please just ask.
Carol, yeah, I want to talk to you about the route. If I want a set of, let's put this right into my realm where I'm working. I want to assist my clients with a complete Microsoft Office shortcut key book, where they now can just look up the shortcut key for that specific task that they want to. So I got this document. I want this thing in Braille. I'm knocking on the door, and I say, Carol, how am I going to do this? What are you going to do with this book before it can reach one of my users that want to read this? But what is the route? What is the route that book is going to take?
Okay, the normal route is we will, if you bring in the hard copy, we will look at how many print pages it is. If it's an electronic book, we will also open the electronic file and see how many words in the files are. Then I will take it to Philip. Philip normally does the quotations for us. We will also see how many Braille pages more or less it will be, because one print page will be more or less 2 to 2.5 Braille pages. So if it's an individual, our individuals gets a cost of 99%, which we pay. They only pay 1%. I hope I'm right, Philip, if he's still online. And then they will charge you for the master cost, and then they will charge you also for the Braille pages. Depends on how big the book is going to be. Is it going to be 1 volume, 2 volumes, 3 volumes, etc.? Philip will send the client the quote, and then the client needs to confirm with Philip, okay, yes, we would like you to go ahead with the work. If it's a new client, we will put the client onto our database as a new client. If it's a client that's been here with us before, we will then take the book. We will make, if it's a hard copy, we will make copies of the book, because automatically you get the original book back. If it's electronic division, we will print it this side, and then we will work from there on the electronic division. Yeah, so as I said, if the client says, okay, everything is fine, and whoever's going to be liable for the payment, etc., we will do the book for the client.
And then you start typing it. If it's a hard copy, do you scan it?
Sorry, yes, Eugene. Yeah, mostly we, well, in my days when I started at Blind SA, we used to type books. We weren't that fancy. Well, I love to type, so anyway, especially when it comes to nice novels, then I'd rather type the book than scan it. Yes, we then scan, if it's we scan it to our email address, and from there we will not, then obviously it will come into PDF format, where we will then convert it with a AbiFine Reader program, so that we can take the document and work there from onwards on our Word or in our Braille file. Yes, but typing is nice, man. We've gotten lazy.
So how many words a minute could you type, Carol?
I can't even remember anymore. You know what's amazing? And yes, I've had this keyboard for like 15, 16 years. There's some of those letters that's off on this keyboard. And yeah, like Phineas and Philip also once sat here and tried to type, and they said, no, you type because we can't see where the A and the S's are. So yes, I don't know how fast I can type, but I'm sure I can type fast. It's something like it's in you, so you never, it's like driving a car every day on a normal basis. So yes, I haven't checked myself in a long time how fast I'm typing. I think it's not also about typing fast, it's about the accuracy. That's also very important because you don't want the proofreader to battle with spelling mistakes that you've done all the time. So yes, accuracy is also plays a major part in the documents that we do send through for proof.
How many books do you get back from the proofreader and say, Carol, you did not do your work?
I can't think of any.
Amazing.
I can't
Amazing.
think of any. I don't know. If Philip knows, I don't know. I know years ago when I started, yeah, my second book was English, German to English book. That was a nightmare. That was the second book I did, and oh my word, that was terrible. And that book was like 10 volumes. Where when you get to the German, you had to put all the German words into grade 1, close with grade 2, grade 1, grade 2. So at that time I was only a beginner, so I didn't actually know what to do. But I learned the hard way, and I'm still here today.
When we look at languages, you just mentioned your German experience. What do you think? Can you recognize a language just by looking at the page?
I would think so. Yeah.
So you can transcribe in multiple languages?
For us to, because if there is, especially in times when there's a lot of school books, CAPS books that we've done in the past, and it was like, say, Zulu and Xhosa and those kind of things, except Zivenda. But Zivenda, it's got a lot of diacritics in. We would assist the other daughter typists also to transcribe this book into Braille, because being a daughter typist, you actually become familiar with the layout, with your heading styles, with italics, bolds, etc. So yeah, it's not that difficult, especially when it's in another language. If you do need to know something, you just go to that specific daughter typist and ask her, okay, what is standing here? Do I need to change this word, etc. So yes, it's not that difficult. If you could do German, you can do African languages as well, I would think.
And can you read Braille?
No, not as fluent as you guys. No.
But you can over the years you got to recognize some things.
Yes, certainly you do, because even whilst you are busy on a document, you will translate. I've got the print in front of me. If I need to know something, especially with your Afrikaans, you would translate into over to the Braille. I don't know if you want to take it back there. You would translate into the Braille, and you would check if anything is there that you need to know. In Afrikaans, you get a lot of contractions, like you've got put some words into grade 1, etc. But you also get used to those kind of words. If it comes in a lot of articles, then you know exactly you've got to put that word into grade 1 or to grade 2. Yes, so you do familiarize yourself with the Braille dots.
Fantastic. Now, thank you so much for your work that you are doing, Carol. I do not think a lot of people, especially us that read Braille, will always appreciate or know exactly what's going into creating that book. And for me, it's an absolute eye-opener just to listen to what you are doing. And so thank you so much for your work. We do not appreciate that enough.
Thank you. was nice talking to you. Thank
We
you.
will do it again. We will do it again.
You're most welcome.
Philip, I wanted to ask you another question before we move on to our next stage, and that is, can you tell us about Antoinette Botha? Do you have a story or two to tell us on how the museum got its name? Small things like that.
Yes. Yeah, I was privileged to meet Antoinette during my 12 years at Pioneer Printers, as she was one of the teachers there at the school as well. Unfortunately, she passed away in 2020, but I was privileged enough also to, I think it was her 80th birthday that we had up here with Christo and his wife organized that for Blind SA at the time. She had a profound knowledge of UBC, the Unified Braille Code, and she was actually worldwide renowned for her code knowledge. She studied at Stellenbosch University, became a music teacher, and she obtained a diploma in music. And you and I shared some memories of that when you talked about what Botha sing 'n liedjie.
Botha sing a liedjie, and translated in English, Botha sing a song.
Yes. She retired in 1996, but kept on working. As I said, she was for many years the head of the Braille Music Library at the school. 93, she also became the head of Braille. So she was acknowledged in a time as one of the beacons in South Africa, certainly, but also in the world, of a profound knowledge of the system and how the system works. And it was always wonderful to sit with her around with a glass of wine and discuss these things. You know, we were privileged enough to Braille SA was one of the first Braille committees in South Africa, and later on it became what we now know as SABA, the South African Braille Authority. You know, to after meetings to sit around the table and discuss Braille things of the day and of the time over a glass of wine with her. Unfortunately, as I said, she passed away in 2020. And it was from there to the naming the museum in November 2022. It was a short hop and a jump to say, you know what, it can only carry one name in South Africa, and that should be Antoinette Botha. As I said, I knew her personally, and she was what a lady and what a human being, and a giant of her time. And many of people still have fond memories of times spent and discussions we had with her around Braille and the system itself. Wonderful person.
I agree. If anybody out there have a copy of Botha Sing 'n Liedjie, that was her the book that she have written to teach Braille music. We would absolutely love one in the museum if you still have a copy. Thank you. The next stop on our journey. Well, once a book leaves the data center, it have to be, it's now translated, and now we need to get that down for the first print, I suppose. Can you describe this process, the rest of the journey to us?
Yes, from the data typing department, it is most probably one of the more important steps, and that would be the proofreading of the document. As a rule, we will never send out work without it being proofread. On the odd occasion, committee work, things that came in the morning that is needed in an hour's time in a committee meeting, then obviously you don't have the privilege of proofreading it. But then we will make sure that the very first line on that Braille page will say, note that this document has not been proofread. Sending out poor quality Braille is most probably the easiest way to drag your name through the mud and make blind people skinner behind your back of the quality of work. So we pride ourselves on the training we give to our proofreaders and on the skills level of our proofreaders. Now, to me, a proofreader is born, he's not made. You can, that's one of the jobs I am totally poor at. I don't have the capacity. I don't have I don't know. It's just one of those jobs that you look up to the people and you just smile and say, well done, well done. As I said earlier, we have 5 sets of proofreaders, print copy holder and the blind person that actually reads the text. And they read intermittently, meaning the print proofreader would read the headings or would read the italics, or and the blind person would read the rest of the text. And that is just to make sure that both of them are very much involved in the process and engaged meaningfully in the process. So I think the next stop will be Johannes Dube. Now, Joe, as he's fondly called, has been with Blind SA since 1986. Johannes, I can see you on the computer screen, my man. Welcome in the welcome, and I'll hand over to Joe. He and Tandeka is ready to entertain you. As I said, Joe started with us in 1986, and that is what 40 years of service is only around the corner for the man. Thank you, Eugene.
Well, Joe, thank you as well for doing this, talking to us. I just saw the other day a 10 or 20 second piece of proofreading, and I couldn't believe my ears. It was one of the most amazing things I saw in a long time. After that, I was talking to Philip, and he said to me something. He said, this man can read Braille, proofread Braille. It's not, proofread Braille is something else than reading Braille. He can do this in 9 South African languages. So I would love, Joe, I'm not going to talk much. Can you please tell us about you? Tell us about your history. Tell us about your work. And then if you and Tandeka can please demonstrate to us the way that proofreaders work. This is something that the world must see. It's unbelievable. Sorry about that.
So can you just tell us a bit about yourself?
Okay, my name is Johannes Dube. I was born in Soweto, Johannesburg, Soweto, and I lost my sight at the age of 17 when I was at school. And it was during those times, 1976, the uprisings. So I was shot by the security policies then, the police then, back shots, and then I lost my sight. It is said that the back shot struck the optic nerve, which of course one of my eye got damaged and the other one is still okay. But the fact is that the optic nerve was actually broken. Hence, I was blind from that day onwards. It was 1976. And unfortunately, I was taken to hospital and treated. And after that, I was rehabilitated taught how to read and write Braille, and also taught how to move around, using the mobility cane. And after that, I had to go back to school. And because I was over 18 then, the special schools in South Africa could not admit me because they had an age limit. So I had to go to a normal school. And there was a lady by the name of Hugen, Glynis Hugen, who was a therapist then. She actually negotiated with the principal of some school that a person like myself can be able to learn with sighted children in a mainstream school. And I started doing standard 8 then, which is, I don't know what is it now, but it was called JC by then. And then I went on up to matric. I passed matric in 1983, and I pursued my education with the UNISA. I was doing music, but unfortunately I dropped out. As time goes on, I got a call that Blind SA is looking for someone who can do proofreading. And I came for interviews, and fortunately, Blind SA see me fit to can occupy that position. And I started to be a proofreader since then. And to date, proofreading, it's what just Mr. Jordan has just alluded to, that we read. The copy of Braille will be read by myself. Thandeka, my partner, she will actually read the sighted print, because Braille is derived from the sighted print, which of course must make sure that whatever is in the original print, it's a total true reflection of what is in Braille. So normally that's what we do every day, day in, day out. So I think Thandeka wants to say something, and then we'll be able now to demonstrate how to read, as Mr. Jordan has just explained, as to the method that we use in-house in Blind SA Braille Services Department.
Okay, thank you, Joe. My name is Thandeka Bukwana. I am a print proofreader. I joined Blind SA about 2 years ago. So yeah, I work with Johannes Dube. Our office specializes in African languages. So as a sighted proofreader, I have, like he has explained, I have the sighted print copy, and he has the Braille copy. So we read together. Whatever that is on the print copy should tally exactly with the Braille copy. So as Johannes reads, we read along together. And I would read the exclamations. If there's comma, I would read the headings. And if there's a spelling error, when he is reading, I will see it from my side, I correct that. We correct the quality of the work. If there is no comma, we include that so that it's 100% quality. So for now, we are just going to demonstrate. We will start our demonstration. We are currently reading a magazine that is done monthly by Blind SA. It's called Trumpet. So yeah, we will just read the topic as I will start. The topic is, these 34 countries let you drive with a South African license. https://businesstech.co.za. New paragraph.
Your South African driver's license is valid on driving in
34,
countries,
including
including members of the Southern African Development Committee, the European Union, the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the United States.
First of new paragraph.
The terms and conditions for using your local driver's license vary from country to country.
First of new paragraph.
Some countries may allow you to use your license for only a few months, while others may allow you to use it until it expires.
New paragraph.
It is recommended to obtain an international driving permit,
Open bracket, IDP, close bracket,
before traveling outside of South Africa if you plan to drive in another country, although it may not always be mandatory.
First of new paragraph.
The
IDP
will translate your driver's license into several languages, including go to the next page. 5 are official
UN,
languages, which can be useful in countries where English is not the official language.
Stop this paragraph.
We'll just stop there
Wow, that was amazing.
because we were just
That's how we
demonstrating
make
that
Braille.
just-
Wow, wow, wow. Amazing.
Any questions? Or do you guys want to say anything?
Yeah, I'm sure we just demonstrated what we do everything, like Adega has just explained. Whatever we do here is going to, I'm sure you went from you coming from downstairs where you interacted with our typists or data typists. This is done there, and then it is transported up to us here. And then what we read, everything that we come across that is wrong, we jot it down, we mark it, and then it will go back to the data typist to be corrected. And then after, this is the first proof that we are doing. After we have done that, it will go now for the next proof. It means the next proof will ensure that all the mistakes that we marked are corrected, and those that we skip, because we are humans, né? We can make mistakes. Those that we skipped, they actually identify them and then correct them. Then it goes back again to the data typist to be corrected. If now it is corrected, then we are now certain that the document that is in Brain, it's clean and it's ready to be consumed by our Brain readers outside there.
Thank you so much. I cannot begin to describe. Yeah, it's amazing to see the work that you do. Can you just tell us about the languages, your 9 languages? Tell us about it.
Well, coming to the languages, there's some technicalities here which are very important that people must know, because in Braille we use what we call contractions. Contractions, it's like your short form of writing, and it makes Braille to be easy readable, because Braille is very bulky. So if we can write Braille without using contractions, it means we'll have huge volumes of Braille books. So contractions are shortening some of the words. Like if you go to English, C can stand for can, D can stand for do, T can stand for that, that's the shortening part. And there are short forms that we use to shorten Braille, like TM. TM will stand for tomorrow. L alone will stand for like, such contractions, they make Braille to be shortened and to be easy to read, easy and faster to read. So each and every language has got its own contractions. It means me as a Braille proofreader, I must able to know all those systems. The contractions in English, I must know the contractions in Afrikaans and other African languages. Zulu has got its own contraction. Sesotho has got its own contraction. Sedebele, its own contraction. Siswati, you must all know all those contractions. Mind you, the person that reads Alphabet will only know one contraction. I mean, if he's a Zulu, he will be able to read Zulu, and he won't be able to read a contracted Sotho book because that person doesn't know the Sotho contractions. So as a proofreader, you have got to be very, very knowledgeable in terms of all the contractions that are there for all the languages. So you see, that's why I say it's very technical when it comes to that. So we have to be very knowledgeable.
So I just want to summarize this. You can read, understand, and use your voice in 9 different South African languages.
Yes.
So you understand contractions in those languages more than if you put all of them together, it must surely be more than 1,000 contractions, all in different languages.
I think so.
This is skill. This is very, very rare skill that we are seeing here. And thank you so much for the work that you are doing. Again, as I said earlier, we as Braille readers have no idea what is going in the production of this. And I think to have somebody, I don't know how you're going to stay on another 40 years, Joe, but please do. I don't think we can go without you. Thank you so much for what you are doing.
Thanks.
We are running a little bit late. I have 15 minutes and we actually passed our break. I do not know whether we can take the break now and then start with our next interview before we go into the print house.
I'm
Philip,
fine with that, certainly, Eugene.
Shall we quickly take a break and come back? It is now, yeah. If we can take a break until 5 minutes to 12, it's only 5 to 10 minutes. Are we back?
I am.
Good morning, Katarina.
Good morning.
Hi, Jean, this is Colette. I'm here.
I knew you would be on time, Colette. Thank you. You're not like me.
You look very dashing with that blue tie. Very nice.
Thank you so much. The feathers make the bird. Earlier today, I don't know, Colette, you can most probably go and watch on video. We saw some pretty amazing performances here in Blind SA where they build Braille. Produce is not the word for what they are doing here. They're building it from nothing. You must experience this building, the people here, the passion that everybody have for what they're doing, and the pride. I couldn't believe it. You know, my dad used to say, if something is good, you would be willing to put your name to sign it. It's yours. You can feel the pride in this building. It's amazing to be here for me. We are going to start an interview with Colette Fransolet. She is from Inclusive Design on a very important topic, and that is education in the accessibility space. After that, we are going to take half an hour lunch, and 1 o'clock we will be back with the printing house, where Braille is actually being written by a state-of-the-art Braille printing machine or embosser. Philip will not be happy if I call that thing a machine. I think it's, he said this morning about his wife, that machine is very good competition for her, I'm sure. But anyway, Colette, thank you so much for joining me on this fantastic day. I know you are otherwise occupied as well, but thank you for taking the time. Can you please introduce yourself to our audience and tell us about you, what you're all about?
Sure. Thanks so much, Eugene. So, Colette Fransolet is my name. For those who are non-visual, I'm a Caucasian woman with dark hair that's tied up in a ponytail today. I'm wearing, according to the camera, what looks like a grey top. In the background is a white cupboard. I'm sitting in the office space today. I'm also slightly bouncing. For those of you who can't see me on the screen, I'm bouncing slightly. I'm holding a just shy of 3-month-old baby with me today. She's not happy to be sleeping on her own today, so she'll be sleeping on me. So I'm bouncing slightly in the screen. And so I work as a universal access consultant. I work in the built environment, which is a space which is not growing as fast as we'd like it to. So accessibility in the built environment is something that's been on the agenda for a very long time, but we're lacking so many skills and people to be able to see the things that we see in the built environment. And so that's why I suppose we're talking about skills transfer and gaining knowledge today. So that's a little bit about me. I serve on numerous boards in terms of the built environment. I serve on the board for the Global Universal Design Commission, which is an American-based company that advocate for the certification of buildings and their accessibility. I also serve on the Global Leadership Council for the International Association for Access Professionals. So I sit on that board and advise on kind of which directions to take in terms of international certifications for people in the accessibility space, whether that's built environment or digital accessibility. So that's a little bit about me, Eugene.
Thanks, Colette. Yeah, now we know more about you. I've one question. People always say this morning we are scared of your questions, but anyway, Colette, tell us, why did you do this? Why not something else? Why are you in accessibility?
So, Eugene, that's a great question. And it's one that I often get asked because I am personally not a person with a disability. So I stay very clear of the advocacy space because that's not my space. I'm not a person with a disability. And so I don't meddle in that area. But why universal access and accessibility is I got a lecture at university for about half an hour on something called the Universal Design Principles. And I was so taken by these principles that I just knew that that was something that I had to do with my life. And I didn't know how I was going to turn those principles into a career or even a job or anything in that line. And so, but it started there. It started with a talk from someone who is super passionate about creating accessibility for all walks of life, not only people with disabilities, but across the spectrum really, and who benefits from it. That it was just something that sat with me, and I just from then knew that that was something I was going to do, and I didn't know how. Started in the disability sector. I worked for an NGO for a little bit, and then started consulting in the space of built environment. But that's really what happened, is that somebody ignited a fire in me by giving me some knowledge on the topic, and empowering me in that way, and I just took it and ran with it. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah, we can hear the passion when you're talking. Those that didn't hear you before lecturing and so on, we can feel the passion when you talk about your work. Colette, you decided then to start with skills transfer, and you built a course.
Yeah.
Will you tell us about that?
Yes. So, like I said earlier, there's not enough people who know. And as the more people who know, even just a little bit about accessibility, the better the world will be. And so the knowledge of accessibility and what it requires and how it comes about isn't something that should belong with one person. So I work extensively in this field, and I have a range of clients, and there's so much more work to be done out there than what one person can do, that more people need to know about accessibility. I'm sure not everybody wants to work as an access consultant, and that's not necessarily what this course is about. I'm not creating more people like me. I just want more people to know enough so that when they walk around an environment or interact with a website or read a document, that they know that this document or facility or service is or is not accessible to some people with disabilities. And that's really what it's about. So the more awareness we have about it, the more change we can make in society. And that's really why skills transfer is so important. Like, I just need more people to know a little bit about what I know to start making the world a better and more accessible place.
Love that. Love that. Just know a little bit of what she knows, and then it will be better. And I fully Colette, you know a lot. A little bit of you it will go a long way. So you are a member of the International Accessibility Association for Accessibility Professionals, right?
Yes.
You are also on the Global Leader Council.
Yes. Yeah.
Of the IAAP.
Yeah.
Colette wants to, the course that she has built is to prepare future access consultants or accessibility professionals to take the certificate. Colette, please say that.
The certification exam.
Yeah, for CPAC.
Yeah, for the certification of professionals with core competencies. Yeah.
The certification
of professionals
in accessibility core competencies. That's correct.
Yeah.
Let's not fall over words here. So CPAC is the entry-level exam that you need to pass to become an accessibility consultant with accreditation.
Yeah.
And this course will prepare you to sit for that exam. It is not an exam that you can take if you did not at least study somewhat.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about the fields that you are covering in the course that you built?
Yeah, so that's a good question. It covers, so initially when I set about wanting to do a course, to do some skills transfer, I wanted to build a course for people in the built environment, right? I wanted to do a course that teaches people about what do facilities need to have in order for facilities in the built environment to be accessible to people with disabilities. But as I started writing the course, I realized that there are so many fundamental concepts in accessibility that I speak about all the time that I wasn't covering in the course. And so it became very difficult to explain things like the social model of disability and why we use terms like people with disabilities and not the disabled anymore, you know, and why do we speak about the difference between universal design and universal access, and all of those kind of fundamental terms and foundational kind of ways of thinking about accessibility meant that I couldn't just go and do a course in the built environment. I had to first help people understand the fundamentals and the basics of accessibility. And so that's why this course is the core competencies course is so important, because without the fundamentals, you can't climb the ladder in accessibility. So you have to start with a foundation, and that's exactly what this course is. So what it covers is everything from different models on disability to categories of people with disabilities and the challenges that they face. So if you're looking at somebody, for example, with a cognitive impairment, what challenges might somebody like that face in the digital space, as well as in the physical environments? And we cover all of those areas. So what are the needs of that person? What do they need in terms of accessibility or aspects of reasonable accommodation even? And what can we put in the built environment to make sure that somebody like that also thrives in the environment? So it covers the disability, the models on disability, it covers the categories of persons with disabilities, it covers basics on international laws and treaties. So it kind of explaining a little bit about the background, like why, you know, I know you've mentioned the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities potentially already today. And so it covers a bit of that. It covers the Marrakesh Treaty, which I'm sure is very interesting to anyone at the Braille SA, like, you know, how do you transmit, you know, educational documents across borders without Property Acts so that you can actually disseminate the information to people who are blind or otherwise print disabled. So that's the Marrakesh Treaty. It deals with other conventions and international treaties. So it covers a broad spectrum of anything to do with accessibility, but on a very fundamental phase. So if anyone is interested, you know, this isn't even just for people who want to work as professionals in this space. This type of certification, or even just studying, you don't have to do the certification, but even just a course like this is great for anyone who works or wants to work in accessibility or wants to know just a little bit more about access. So it's a great fundamental kind of entry-level basics course that just covers all of the topics that sit within this bigger space of accessibility. So yeah, that's what it covers in a nutshell.
And then you also are talking about ethics or the etiquette of dealing with persons that live with a disability, how you interact with them, how you should treat them.
Definitely. Yeah, we cover some ethics, and along with the ethics, we also cover governance. So,
Yes.
you know, what has to be done in order to have inclusion. You know, everyone speaks about disability, and I know D&I, disability and inclusion, is a hot topic and all of that at the moment. Every second person is doing a course in D&I. This is not it. This is not diversity and inclusion. This is accessibility, but it does cover etiquette, so languages, terminology to use when referring to people. If you have to categorize people with disabilities, if we don't have to, then why do we have to say, you know, what somebody's impairment is? Why can we not just leave it alone? If it's, you know, why does it have to be Eugene who's blind? Why can't it just be Eugene? Unless we have to categorize, you know? But we speak about that in the course, and some of my thoughts on that and why it's important to kind of, you know, see the person first. And if you don't need to classify them, then why do we? Unless it's for a medical reason. You know, anyway, we touch on those things in the course, and then also some aspects of governance in terms of employment. Yeah.
I will also have you know that there are no one handbook to study for CPAC. there are like a book of knowledge. What do you call, Colette, this
Body-
book? The body of knowledge. Yes. There are that, and then there are broad guidelines on how to study for an accessibility specialist or a CPAC or your CPAC exam. So there are no one full-on document that you can now go study and write this exam. And the types of questions that they also ask in these exams are more focused on the experience of the consultant or of the person. So it's not necessarily that you whatever you learn in a course, you have to work in this space. You have to think about this. You have to deal with this type of issues on a daily basis to get full understanding before you go sit down for that exam. And I think what we saw in your course, I have a little bit of foreknowledge now, is that we can actually get that from you, from your experiences over years, and in your videos and so on. We get that extra little bits of information that we would usually not get.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the course, so there is a body of knowledge that exists on the website for people who are interested in writing any of the IAAP, the International Association for Access Professionals certifications. There are bodies of knowledge, but what's different about the course is that it does exactly that. I think previously the CPAC exam, when it was first kind of initiated, was written for people who are already working in the accessibility space. And so you have tendencies to speak about things, or you've gained knowledge and experience over a couple of years, and then would be ready to sit and write the exam. What we're trying to do is to push it the other way around, to say, if you're interested in this space, study this content, take the course, and then get your certification, and then practice in the field. Because